New Zealand attack exposes how little the US and its allies share intelligence on domestic terrori. The United States and its closest allies have spent nearly 2 decades building an elaborate system to share intelligence about international terrorist groups, and it has become a key pillar of a global effort to thwart attacks. But there's no comparable arrangement for sharing intelligence about domestic terrorist organizations, including right-wing extremists like the one suspected in the killing of 49 worshippers at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, according to current and former national security officials and counter-terrorism experts. Governments generally see nationalist extremist groups as a problem for domestic law enforcement and security agencies to confront. In the United States, slideshow by photo services. Some experts say the allies need to think about how they can turn their resources toward threats that may reside within their borders but arguably threaten their common security. A slideshow by photo services. Current and former officials said that, if the United States had intelligence about an imminent attack by domestic radicals in another country, it would quickly alert authorities there. But as a routine matter, officials in the Five Eyes countries do discuss the rise of nationalist groups, but the topic doesn't feature nearly as prominently as threats from transnational organizations, said Nicholas J. Rasmussen, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center. We talked about it in terms of how the process of radicalization in various forms of extremist groups compares to each other, but not in the context of specific cases or intelligence exchanges, he said. The Christchurch shooting may lead officials to reconsider that approach. At least in the United States, sharing information about would be complicated by privacy law and regulations that restrict what U.S. intelligence agencies can collect about citizens and permanent residents in the country. But the Five Eyes countries are collecting information that speaks to trends, including how nationalists are becoming radicalized, the common grievances they share and the methods they're using to communicate when they do try to forge alliances. That information, experts said, could be shared more easily among nations with an eye toward improving their efforts to prevent attacks and, in the long run, counter radical ideologies and stop susceptible people from joining the ranks of militant groups. But countries talk to each other about the broader trends they're seeing, including how domestic radicals are learning from each other, who they cite as their inspiration and where they are congregating online, Geltzer said. That effort may face resistance from President Trump, who has downplayed the threat from white nationalism in the United States and abroad. I think it's a small group of people that have very, very serious problems. It's certainly a terror. The president said he hadn't seen the suspected shooter's manifesto, which former U.S. officials said the Trump administration should prioritize restoring positions and task forces that were trying to address the domestic terrorism threat until they were sidelined after he took office. This attack should have us asking ourselves whether or not we have a sufficient whole-of-government approach to this evolving terrorism threat, said Lisa Monaco, who served as the Homeland Security Advisor to President Obama. In the Trump White House, we don't have a clear domestic lead in our federal government for these issues, Monaco said. We may need to address this constraint, much as we over the years became more comfortable sharing such information on U.S. persons who were the subjects of international terrorism concern, he said. We probably don't know what we don't know in terms of some of these international connections among domestic groups, Rasmussen added. And we won't know.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.